kid, there was a place. A dark place. They closed it down and let it rot. But the things that lived there...
Hello, Danny.
They...
Hi. You can hear me. You're magic. Like me.
I don't know about magic. I always called it the Shining. The world is a hungry place. A dangerous place.
These people, they hurt people like us.
These empty devils, they'll eat what shines. And they've noticed that little girl.
Wow, hi there.
Aloha. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And last night, Thursday night, opening night, I went and saw the new Stephen King movie called Dr. Sleep. And well, remember our rating scale? Shock a thumbs up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's bad to see, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And, well, you know, I was really on the edge after seeing this movie as to what to call it. And ultimately, it is a shock a thumbs up. But only due to the last half of the film. I will tell you this straight up right now, that the first half of this movie drags considerably, which, you know, really shouldn't have, because there is a lot of exciting stuff throughout, especially the last half of this movie. I feel that the movie, especially in the first half, just goes and, you know, it really sets heavy into nostalgia. This is the sequel to The Shining, Stephen King's book, The Shining, and ultimately the movie The Shining. Whereas, you know, the little kid, Danny Torres, and his mother had escaped from Jack Nicholson's character, their father, after being driven insane over at the Stanley Hotel, in Estes Park. That's where the real hotel is. And I've been to that hotel. And it is not as scary as the movies would have it. It is a beautiful area, Estes Park. But it's definitely not, set, maybe years and years ago it was set in the wilderness, but there's a, large town and community that's grown up around the hotel. So, but if you ever get the chance to spend the night there, it's an interesting place. Let me just say that. And it is a beautiful town, Estes Park. That being aside, remember, it is a shock a thumbs up, but it's a weak shock a thumbs up, again, because how I feel that it relies too heavily on nostalgia and goes back and pretty much really does strive to recreate many of the scenes from the classic movie, The Shining, for this movie, Dr. Sleep. When actually, they could have just done that in a few bits and pieces of flashbacks here and there as we see Danny Torres' life, being an adult male now, so taking place 30, 40 years later after, the events of The Shining. His mother has passed away, and he still struggles with attempting to hide or cope with his abilities, his psychic abilities, his mystic abilities, the Shining, as they call it. Others in this movie call it magic. But whether it's psychic or mystical in nature, as he finds out in this movie, and as he kind of knew from The Shining, that he wasn't the only one with this ability. Remember, the old character Scatman Crothers also returns in this movie, being played by the man who played Martian Manhunter on Supergirl. well, you know, the original Martian Manhunter. You know, actually John Jones' father in Supergirl, but who played Martian Manhunter in the Justice League, voiced the cartoon character for that. And I got to say, his Scatman Crothers impression is spot on. You know, he's still younger looking than the original Scatman Crothers in that from The Shining, but he does a good job pulling it off. So, you know, I can't complain about that. You know, this also stars, you know, Ian McGregor returns as Danny Torres, the little kid, all grown up now. It stars Rebecca Ferguson as the leader of, I'm just going to call these guys psychic vampires, because that's basically what they are. And newcomer Kylie Curran, who plays, you know, basically the new Danny Torres. And so Rebecca Ferguson's character plays a leader, a group of psychic-like vampires who have been around for hundreds of years, apparently. And instead of drinking blood, they feed off the life force, the essence, the shining, these individuals, special individuals' psychic abilities, which they get by killing them and basically draining their life force. You know, it increases their power, their abilities, and, you know, helps them live extremely long lives. As they say in the movie, eat well, live long. And, well, you know, it's not food that they're eating. Well, the food that they are eating is the Shining food, I guess, from, you know, taking these other people's lives. And so there's a whole host of people that are working with them, with Rebecca Ferguson. And she does an incredible job, and even the group is all right, but you'd only focus mainly on her. There's like one other character called Crow, which is her kind of boyfriend, I guess, or husband, kind of the secondary leader of the group, that gets some playtime as well. But pretty much it is Rebecca Ferguson, Ian McGregor, and the newcomer Kylie Cullen, who does an amazing job in this movie. Now, you know, we get to see how powerful Danny had become, but because of years of attempting to hide and mask his abilities through alcohol, his powers have diminished. So come upcomer Kylie Cullen's character, who, you know, plays a, you know, probably a, you know, at least well-off, middle-class income family child who has embraced her abilities, who doesn't seem to have too much of a downside with it, other than being ostracized as being weird at school. Definitely not seeing any ghosts or anything like that to be terrified by. But she does psychically witness this group of psychic vampires, led by Rebecca Ferguson's character, kill one of their members, or, well, one of the people with the Shining, to feed to their members. And this basically freaks her out so much that she contacts Danny through her abilities. The two become friends, and they seek to stop these psychic vampires from coming to kill her. You know, as they are drawn by great power, and hers has been a power that they have not sensed in many, many years. And so there you have it, the gist of the entire plot and the movie. It is only unfortunate that they continue to go back to The Shining so much in the first half. If it had just been, you know, opening up directly with Danny as an older child having flashbacks, instead of opening straight from the hotel or just after, you know, leaving Colorado to go to Florida with her mom as survivors of this terrible atrocity growing up. You know, that we could have maybe gotten a little bit more connected to, you know, Ian McGregor's character. But because he's only in it, you know, for that half of the movie, another actor playing him as a child does all the recreated effects. You know, and the person playing his mother is, again, spot on. Almost sounds just like, you know, the actress playing back from The Shining. And we even get a little sneak peek at his father, although not played by Jack Nicholson, which, you know, he's retired for the most part. But I'm sure they could have maybe coaxed him into doing a cameo, because that's all he had in this movie. This actor attempting to play Jack Nicholson's, you know, Jack Torres, you know, the father of Danny. Once he returns to the hotel, and he returns to the hotel in an attempt to save this girl, played by Kylie Coleman's, basically to, you know, basically it's the plot of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They know they can't stop Rebecca Ferguson's character. She's too powerful. She's been around too long. She has too much power, too much of the Shining or whatever, not being completely human anymore, having fed on all these other psychic energies from all these past victims over hundreds of years. So he enlists the Stanley Hotel, or in this case, what it's called in the movie and in The Shining, the Outlook Hotel, you know, the ghosts from there, to basically take care of her for him. And so, you know, that becomes pretty interesting as a plot side note. But I think, you know, again, what saves it is that last second half of the movie, where we do get a little bit more of the power being shown, a little bit more of the action being shown, and a little bit of the thrills. Because up until that, you know, they try to create this sense of tension and drama in the very beginning of the movie, looking back at Danny's life and how rough he had it growing up, becoming addicted to alcohol to try to get away from his visions, his problems. And it just doesn't work. You know, it's as if they're so invested in trying to, hey, remember, this is based on The Shining, and he was that little kid, and here he is as a little kid again. You know, in case you hadn't forgotten, you know, in case you had forgotten or you hadn't seen The Shining for so long, because it was quite a while. So, but in doing so, I feel they do this movie, Dr. Sleep, a great injustice, and not really focusing on Dr. Sleep, you know, as fully as they should have. And the reason it's called Dr. Sleep is that basically Danny, after he sobers up and is, you know, been in a sobriety program, he works at a hospice and uses his powers to calm people who are near death, who might be afraid of passing over. And so, you know, one of the patients calls him Dr. Sleep. Essentially, you know, you're not dying, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's like going to sleep, essentially. And thus, that's, you know, how the movie gets its name. But other than that, you know, it's never referenced to again. And he doesn't like jump around, I'm Dr. Sleep, no, nothing like that. But, you know, of course you wouldn't get that from a, you know, Stephen King novel anyways, I don't think. But it is kind of, you know, interesting to see how it kind of goes into that dynamic. And again, you know, just because it relies so heavily, this movie, on nostalgia effects from The Shining, it felt like a rehash of several other Stephen King movies. Again, I haven't read his novels, so I couldn't really say. But say like Sleepwalkers, you know, the cat werewolf things that are out there, Rebecca Ferguson's group or troupe of psychic vampires per se, seem very much like them. You know, hiding in plain sight, doing whatever they want, you know, killing, you know, without any, hindrance or anything. Basically, just laying waste to whatever they want and doing whatever they want. Up until, you know, the little girl's character, the powerful psychic played by Kylie, and Ian McGregor's character finally comes to confront them. But again, only out of necessity. If anybody is more of like a superhero inclined, it's probably Kylie's character. Again, probably because she had never had or experienced any of the negative effects, you know, seeing ghosts or seeing dead people, like, you know, Danny Torres' character, Ian McGregor's character did when she was younger. And so in that respect, again, you know, you get a slice of what could have happened potentially to that kid from The Sixth Sense. And again, I got very much a feeling like this was a very much, you know, maybe this is where M. Night Shyamalan got an idea for The Sixth Sense from Dr. Sleep. If he had read that. I don't know. I hadn't seen any interviews or any, you know, documentation where it's like, yeah, I was influenced by this. But of course, you know, just like Stranger Things, it existed out there. And I'm sure, you know, if he had seen it, if he knew this story, he probably, it's like, oh, I'm going to borrow from this heavily for my movie. And again, because all this other stuff has come out, you know, Stranger Things, you know, The Sixth Sense, even Stir of Echoes, you know, again, psychic powers dealing with killers, and ghosts, supernatural like entities, all of that past, you know, all of that past history of other movies, which might have been based lightly or heavily on The Shining and Dr. Sleep, all go to diminish how great this movie could have been. That, and again, the movie is diminished or diminishes itself by trying to go back and redo a masterpiece of The Shining movie just to show you clips. They don't even show you original clips from that movie. They show you, you know, they recreate scenes, which again is just wasted work, I feel. You know, and again, with Jack Nicholson's character, again, makes a cameo. Not Jack Nicholson himself, but his character does. Danny's father comes face to face, and he gets to ask him a couple of questions about his life and such, and confront his father, which is a good catharsis moment in the movie. I just wonder, you know, if they couldn't have gotten Jack Nicholson, you know, again, he's older, which he still could have worked for the role. Why didn't they get somebody who looked more like him, more sounded like him? I mean, there are some times when it's like when this actor who is playing Jack Nicholson's character attempts to sound like him, and he's almost there. Maybe a line or two, but, you know, even Christian Slater does a good Jack Nicholson impression that could have, you know, been used for this movie. Or if they could have done a deep fake and just paid Nicholson for his likeness in this movie, you know, I don't think that would have broke the backs of this movie, the budget for that, and it really would have been a great Easter egg for the scene to have seen Jack Nicholson's face on another actor, on this even on this actor with the same voice that he uses, you know, just to portray, you know, his father. I think, you know, because they do so much recreation, why didn't they just take it that one step further and do it? So those are just little nitpicks of the movie. Overall, it is a shock of thumbs up. Definitely well worth a matinee or the discount days on Tuesdays, $7 at Consolidated or $6 at Regal. So check it out there when you can. If you really, really are a fan of The Shining and Stephen King, then of course full price is your best bet. But again, you know, with a matinee price, you can't go wrong with Dr. Sleep. All right, thank you so much, and aloha.